All right, we are live. Hey guys, welcome back to Xenia Bridge, back at our usual time, hopefully, and with a guest this time. So I think Jen got her catharsis from the last episode, for those of you
No, I'm
who
salty
missed
about
out.
my hair. I'm salty about my hair.
Well, at least
This
you got your
episode.
catharsis about one thing for a minute.
Fucking mad, yo. Like, all right, so the whole top of my head, like everything but this, hasn't grown in 4 or 5 years at all. Like, this has been the same length for the last 4 years. So I am not applying heat to any of it, and I'm doing the equivalent of put it in a ponytail and leave it alone. And I'm only drying it with cool setting, and like now I have an infrared blow dryer coming, and I don't like my hair clip back. It irritates me because I think my head is oddly shaped, but this is what I now have to do, and I'm not.
It has already begun. We are less than a
I'm
minute
salty
in.
about this. I'm pissed. Okay, I'm pissed that I was born with crappy hair. Thanks, mom. Meanwhile, her hair's as thin as mine, but it just keeps fucking growing. I'm like, and it's probably something that my kid and his boy hormones did to me. And
So
Salty
now that we're
about
done
it.
with Jen's
I'm just mad.
salty. So thank you so much for coming on, by the
Thank
way,
you, Courtney.
Godless Mom. Would you like to
Excuse
give
me,
yourself
sorry,
a
guys,
quick
I'm
introduction for the audience, for those who haven't actually seen your work yet?
Yeah, well, for about 6 years now, so God, I'm old. I've been blogging at my blog on godlessmom.com, and then also on Patheos, just talking about general atheist stuff, and very recently became the vice president and helped found the International Association of Atheists, which is just an organization that helps to put the spotlight on smaller organizations around the world that have projects that are totally worthy of our support and funding and all of that stuff. So that's generally what I do, and I tweet a lot.
Yeah, I think you and me got into the community like right around the same time. So you're old, I'm old. I think we've been following each other on Twitter that long too. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, I'm old. I'm like, bitch, you're just as old as me. We've been doing this the same amount of time.
Yeah. There's been a lot of people that have been around the same amount of time as me, if not longer. And I don't know, I still have that feeling like I'm the newbie in the community, but I've been here for so long.
I don't think we'll ever get over that. You're one of the very few that has escaped without scandal, though.
So far.
So at the beginning of every show, we always ask the same question, which is, what does allyship mean to you? And it sounds like you kind of started answering it a little bit, because you're talking about putting spotlights on these other organizations. But what does it mean to you in regards to working together, say, between theists and atheists?
Well, see, from my vantage point, I've been witness to, well, not witness, but I've had a lot of people email me over the years through my blog and talk to me about the different abuses that they've been through. And, like my friend Mubarak right now we don't even know if he's alive. He's been locked up for being an atheist. And there's a lot of people out there who struggle because they're an atheist. They get a lot of discrimination and mistreatment. And it makes no sense to me to alienate a group of people who might be willing to help us, like, raise awareness and make that situation better, just because they don't share our beliefs. Further, I have a lot of people in my life who are religious, who I like, or who are theists, or different varying kinds of belief and stuff like that, who I just totally adore. And it's never really made sense to me to alienate those people, although granted, some of the things I have posted in the past has done that. I'm totally willing to own up to that. But our organization aims to work with people of varying beliefs, so that we can just better the world for non-believers.
Well, and I think that that's an incredible goal. I think that honestly, pagans and atheists, especially in, like I'm going to say Abrahamic majority countries, because I know that, for example, Hindus don't consider themselves to be pagan, or at least a lot of them don't. But like for Abrahamic majority countries, like often pagans can get the same level of discrimination that atheists do, the same kind of blasphemy laws and things like that. So it seems to me, at least, maybe I'm nuts because I get a lot of pushback for this, and so does Jen, but it seems to me that we are natural allies. We're both religious minorities. Most of us on the pagan side are definitely not evangelical, and we tend to shun those that are. And most of us are very pluralistic as well. Right? Like we are absolutely, I'm perfectly fine with the fact that I'm currently sitting in a room with two people who do not give a shit about my gods. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that my gods care all that much either, as far as I can tell.
routinely say it too. I'm like, Allie, it's cool, but I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not believing this, right? Okay, cool.
I mean, you and I have even had like conversations about my personal experiences, Jen, where you have been incredibly respectful. Like I talked to you about,
been respectful,
like,
but she's like, I know you don't believe a fucking word of this, and that's fine. I just need to get this out. I'm like, I'm just glad we have that understanding. Okay, well, what's up?
Well, and you know that I respect you for that, and I think that is something that is important to allyship, is that mutual respect. And I think that at least with some folks, like within the atheist community, I know that that's not necessarily reciprocated, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, see, I don't know, because I grew up as an atheist. I never had any religion, never had any belief in anything, and so I feel like there are people who did grow up with that religion, and then they came out of it, and they kind of have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. They have that anger, and I can't blame them. Like, reading the stories that I've read and connecting with the people that I have, finding out what they've been through, I can't blame those people for being angry, but I think that that's where some of that comes from, where they just block out anybody who believes anything, as far as religion goes. But, I grew up with one of my best friends what came from a Buddhist family, because we had a lot of Asian population in the town that I grew up in, and I had some Christian friends and stuff like that. It just never ever mattered, and in Canada it just doesn't seem to matter. So it never feels right to me to alienate somebody who's willing to help. You know what I mean? Like, it just never feels right to say no because we don't share this belief. We can't work together. And we actually, at our organization, we have a lot of partnership organizations around the world. And one of our first partner is an interfaith partner. It's the Child Friendly Faith Project, and they have
that's an excellent organization, by the way.
Yeah, and they have believers on the board and people who have volunteered for them. And like, I would go so far as to be an ally with Christians, even Muslims, because, if they're willing to help us make things better in the world, why not? That's just how I see it.
We actually had an Episcopalian on our show fairly recently who came on to talk about purity culture and why she thought that was a hot.
I'll admit, sometimes I really wonder if Episcopalians are Christian. Like, I'm like, what? No.
Well, and as I've mentioned, like, not here on this channel,
what are you talking about?
But I've also had conversations with Sygart, who is one of the most like avid, people who fights against like young earth creationism and stuff like that. And he's such a brilliant mind on that. Like, why would we sit there and get into a fight with him about, the fact that he's a Christian if he's sitting there and helping us fight one of the evils within the world, right? Like, I think that sometimes it can be difficult for us to ally with a lot of Christians because Christians are inherently evangelical. And so sometimes that respect, even with the more progressive ones, isn't extended. But I think that for folks that are not, like my friend Maddie, Science Side Up, like, she's an excellent science educator. She's the one we had on fairly recently. I think that there's no problem with allying with folks who are willing to work with people on a level of mutual respect and aren't just trying to, get an in to convert you, which is how it can often feel.
Yeah, I just actually, oddly enough, reconnected with an old friend from high school who we moved out together and things did not go well. So we kind of had a falling out. But we recently reconnected, what is it, 20 years later. And she's very Christian. Like, I believe she even works for the church that she belongs to. And like, not there's not 1 ounce of difficulty between us. Like there's no reason for me to create that if she's willing. Like she sees my hi Neil. She's willing to look at the work that I'm doing with IAA and stuff like that, and she supports it. She actually has been talking to me about Mubarak, the one who's locked up in Nigeria. She's upset about it, and like, to me, it just makes no sense to alienate her because
and I know in Nigeria, even pagans, if you come out as pagan, they'll kill you.
Yeah,
there they'll kill you. That's like even worse than atheism, because according to them, paganism is demons and spellcasting, and even
there's also pagan sects in China currently that are being rounded up and re-educated along with Muslims and other things.
But I know in Nigeria and a lot of other African nations, they view paganism as inherently the work of the devil, even though a lot of their tribalistic traditions are so heavily laced in superstition. But anything pagan they see as witchcraft, they see as worshiping devils, and they'll put you to death for it. They'll absolutely put you to death for it. And atheism is like, yeah, if we keep them in jail for a little while, maybe they'll think of God again. You know?
Yeah.
Well, and my buddy Ocean Keltoy. Oh, go on.
I'm friends with Leo Egwe on Facebook, and he's constantly posting about their burning witches. Like, they actually still burn witches in Nigeria, which is just crazy. Yeah,
I'm friends with Leo too. Leo and I have had a couple of conversations about it, and we both just sit there like, how are we still living in a time that does this?
I know, it's absolutely mind-blowing to me, growing up in Canada where religion is just a non-thing. Like, nobody talks about it. Even when they're religious, nobody talks about it. I'm the weird one here. Like, I'm the weird one because I talk.
You and Shannon and Neil are like the 3 strange ones that are like, no, we're going to talk about this. And they're like, fucking why? Like, why?
Yeah, it's just,
why?
I don't know. It's a strange world.
Well, and since you were kind of talking a little bit about, like, earlier you brought up that you'd come under a little bit of fire for some of your views in the past. One of the
We all have. One
of the things that I've heard talk of, you know, in the grapevine has been the use of the word heathen with atheists, which Jen and I have talked about a few times on this show. Jen generally calls it
see, but I fucked up. I was on a show called Talk Heathen, like it was all fucking good. Like, I was like, yeah. And then I sat down and talked to you guys, and I was like, oh, that's fucked up. Oh, I fucked up. Oh, shit. Okay, I fucked up. Okay.
So, have you kind of shifted your position on that a little bit? Because in the past, I know that you used the term heathen quite a bit to describe yourself and other atheists.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to address every time I would tweet, anytime I would tweet, like, everybody, I'd be like, hey, heathens.
Yep.
But I still mess up. I still do that because it's just so, like, I've been saying, hey, guys. I've said squad a couple of times, but I'm way too old to say that. But
says who? You're on the twatters. You can say what you want. You're on the twatters. Jen's tired. I'm fucking. Oh my god.
Yeah, but I have
heard an F-bomb counter.
Trying.
Yeah, we haven't, because Godless Mom knows my mouth. Like, she's like, it's Jen. Yeah, I get it.
There's a running joke
my
on
early
this show.
blogs, right? The only reason
I like
swear as much as I used to.
You followed me from my old podcast, which was utterly terrible, and like I followed you from your old blogs, and you're like, yeah, we know. Yeah. I have my kids singing. So, like, you know when you hit a depression spiral and, like, things kind of pile up because you're only doing surface level shit? Well, now I'm manic and I'm getting everything that, like, I was standing on my bed dusting a door frame the other day. Like, I was like, there's dust! So now I'm like, oh my god, I'm so tired. And my dumbass forgot to cancel my alarm this morning. I was like, yay, I get to sleep late. Google's like, fuck you, bitch, get up! I'm like, god.
Somebody suggested "Hey fam." That's a good one. I think I've used that a couple of times. Again, I still feel too old.
I just say y'all now because I live in the South and I can do that.
Yeah, see, I can't get away with that.
I've lived in the South long enough to use it.
I should call them hosers because I'm kidding.
So it sounds like if you were kind of more on the hardline side, that you're definitely more interested in allyship and working together. Especially with pagans and other theists that are willing to help out now.
Oh, for sure.
Go ahead, Courtney. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I've changed a lot. And that's something that I pride myself on, is the fact that I am. See, I posted a terrible meme the other day, and when I'm posting memes, sometimes I'm just going through it and I'm not really thinking about it. And I posted a meme that was, somebody pointed out it was a little insensitive, and I replied to that person and I said, "Thank you. I agree with you, and I'm going to go delete it now." And they're like, "Oh." They were relieved that I wasn't I didn't get my back up and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I'm totally fallible. I make mistakes. I like it when people hold me accountable because that means that I get an opportunity to grow. And, I've answered criticism before in ways that I regret. But I do, I have definitely made a conscious effort not to be using the term heathen to refer to atheists anymore.
It took me a while to stop, and then every time I'd start my mouth forming that H. I'd hear both Allie and Ocean in my head screaming at me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, and that's a terrifying combo. That's a terrifying fucking combo. The two of them. Fuck, one or the other is bad. The two, I'm just like, I'm not dealing with this shit today. No, okay, just find something else. Find something else.
I've never even gotten after you for it. That's the sad thing.
I know, but I can hear you being like, "Bitch, what are you doing? You know better than this." You would make me.
Jen, you're better than that.
Ocean would come at me in the debate sense, and you would make me feel disappointed in myself.
And I'm like, that's what I'm good at.
I don't have the emotional XP points to deal with this in my own crazy ass head, so I'm just gonna find something else, and just.
Good to know that there is a little mini me that is haunting your brain at all times. This is a wonderful
every day, honey. Every day. Every day.
You don't even need a mini me in your head. We talk all day on WhatsApp.
I know. What the fuck is my kid doing? My walls are shaking right now, and I have no fucking concept of what's going on in my house. And I'm just like, did the ceiling come down? No, okay, we'll fix it later.
So you mentioned earlier that your organization kind of spotlights smaller organizations and projects that you think are worthy from all over the world. Mm-hmm. I think I had seen something about a project over in India that you were working on. I would love to hear a little bit more about that since you guys are just getting it started.
Courtney works on all. I'm sorry. Do you want to be addressed as Godless Mom? I keep calling you.
No, don't call me Godless Mom. That's
okay. Keep fucking calling you Courtney. Courtney does all the things all the time.
I try. I'm spread quite thin, but I
told you if you need help, let me know.
Actually,
You're like, no, I got it. And I'm like, no, you don't, bitch.
No, we need volunteers. We need volunteers for sure. But the organization in India is actually really interesting. It's called Responsible Charity, and it's run by somebody named Hemley Gonzalez, and he went over there to India and saw what Mother Teresa was doing, firsthand. I'm not sure if he was volunteering for her or if he was just witness to it, but he was unimpressed and decided he could do better. Yeah,
to say the least. Yeah.
Yeah, and he decided he could do better, and so he started Responsible Charity in India with the objective of getting kids to school and taking care of all of the obstacles that get in the way of kids getting to school. So, it's not just simply paying their tuition. It's not just giving them a place to go to school. There's so many things that get in the way of kids getting to school, such as the project that we did last month for the Sanitary Pad Project in Africa. that stops a lot of people who menstruate from going to school, and just stuff like that. And he'll raise money for surgeries for mothers, because if the mother is sick, she pulls the kids out of school to take care of their siblings. He raises money for birth control clinics, because that's another thing that stops kids from going to school, is there's too many kids to take care of and the older ones need to stay home. So that's what we're raising money for. This month we are raising the tuition for 40 kids who are living in the slums of India. And what they actually do is they send tutors who are in college to these kids to have one-on-one educational sessions with them and prepare them to like pass their exams and eventually graduate. So
That's excellent.
that's what we're doing right now.
That's excellent. Can you? Oh, go ahead, Ellie. Okay. I was going to ask if you can tell us a little bit more about Mubarak as well, that campaign.
Unfortunately, there's nothing to tell. We have not heard from him. The lawyers, we originally raised $8,000 for his legal team, and we sent that to Humanist International, who raised, I think, around $7,000 or maybe more.
Now he's currently being held and on trial just for being an atheist and not a Christian.
He hasn't even been charged. He just disappeared. He was plucked off the street by the police, and nobody has heard from him or seen him since. The lawyers that we helped to retain, they applied to see him about a month ago, and they were actually granted by a judge. They were granted the right to see him, but that hasn't happened yet. So
it's just an open-ended. When we decide you can see him, you're allowed to, if
he's even alive.
Is there a worry? Yeah, I was just going to ask, is there a worry that he may not even be alive?
Yeah, I think that's probably, like, it's horrible to say this because I know him, he's a friend, and but I do not think that there is a Mubarak to produce at this point. Which just...
Guys, hold on. I just heard a loud bang in my house. If y'all will just continue this interview, and I'll make sure that, the steel beams in my walls are still standing. Excuse me.
It's not a Xania bridge if Jen doesn't get interrupted by
my kid.
So I'm actually kind of curious about the Sanitary Pad Project, and I also don't think she realized that she forgot to mute her mic. I'm going to pop her into the background. Okay, I muted her until she gets back. I don't think she wants anybody to hear that. Dragon Mommy goes a rating indeed. But I'm actually kind of curious about the Sanitary Pad Project as well a little bit, because I know how important hygiene especially can be for people who menstruate. Like, there are a lot of, for lack of a better way to put it, very unpleasant side effects to getting infections and such during that time. And infections are far more likely if you don't have things to keep yourself clean down there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the big problems. But with, as far as school goes, in places where people are living under the poverty line, they don't even understand really what's happening to them. Half the time they haven't been educated, and they don't have any products to deal with it. And so the last thing they want to do is go to school. So what happens is they stay home during their period every month. And a lot of them will just end up, once they start getting their period, a lot of them will end up not going to school at all. Like, they just fully drop out. And so as part of the Humanist Global Charity, they had, I believe it was 22 different communities that they were setting up little mini sanitary pad factories, and they needed 5 more to be funded. So we raised that money last month, and we raised it in 7 hours. Like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, we raised $1,500 for these 5 communities to have their own little tiny sanitary pad factories. So then, all of the people in those communities who menstruate can go to school without worrying about that stuff. And they're all reusable. Like, it's
wonderful.
Yeah, the money bought sewing machines and fabric. So,
that's amazing. That's
yeah,
wonderful.
It's all reusable, environmentally friendly, all that stuff. So, yeah.
And we all know, I mean, if they're using leaves for sanitary pads and they're worried about leaking and there's a lot of tribal and traditional beliefs in
There's
certain
there's
parts of the
actually a
world.
really good there's a good question in the chat when you're done, Jen.
And the belief is that if a woman is bleeding, she's unclean, she's impure, you are not allowed to interact with her. Which, if they're leaking through leaves, it's people are going to know. Then their male teachers cannot teach them, the male classmates. There's a lot of tribal traditions that are like this.
Yeah.
So it's, that's another part of it. It may not just be I'm self-conscious about bleeding through. It's that if they know I'm considered unclean, and therefore they can't interact with me. They can't teach me.
Yeah. So they just stay home.
Yeah.
So we have a question from the chat from Silas. Would you say that education on menstrual care is more important than actual supply, or both?
Yes, and we are actually in talks with another organization in Africa that does this. They educate about menstruation in Zambia, I believe, or Ghana, one of those two. And so we might be supporting that project in 2021 at some point. I hope we are.
So Shay, I hope that Rowling is screaming somewhere just in pain. Sorry,
Just her
Shay
ears are suddenly bleeding, and she doesn't know why.
For the record, Shay is one of my good friends in the community, and is part of a channel called Transgarter, which we did a collaboration with recently, Jen and I, along with Christy Abbey, to do a takedown of Rowling's recent transphobic crap. We also did one on the TERF manifesto she did back in June, and I did one on the open letter that she signed.
Can you highlight Felipe's comment, please?
I feel it's just kind of an excuse to be sexist.
It's not an excuse to be sexist. These are long-held traditional beliefs where they feel that because menstrual blood is a sign of fertility, life, and the absence of fertility, it's considered cursed and it's considered unclean. It's more than just being sexist. It's inherently tied to procreation. It's tied to, and it's a lot of the time it's tied to shaming women because
it might also be tied to. Well, I was going to say it might also be tied to sanitation, because I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but toward the end of that cycle, that stuff doesn't smell so nice. And if you don't have the education we do now to know why that is, that might even seem like, how are you not dead that this is coming out of you?
But even during it's a partly for younger people who menstruate, it was, well, this is your reminder that you are fertile. And you are to stay home, the red tent, right? You are to stay home. So they're actually, it's a prerequisite of teaching people who own uteruses to be isolated and stay at home. Now, once they got older, it was a mark of shame that they are not fertile at that time.
Yeah.
Especially if you had been married. So it's more than just being sexist.
I am going to point out, though, that as I mentioned in my video on miasma, funnily enough, this was not the case in ancient Greece, which is kind of an exception for that time. They actually thought that it was a purificatory time for women. Like, because, again, there wasn't a concept of people who menstruate TM back then, so that's what they thought. But, yeah, that was...
Aunt Jer, it's uteri.
Uteri,
yes. It's uteri. Sorry. Don't ask me why.
Well, it's a Greek word, I believe.
Uteri. But, it's the red tent. And, I mean, on the sexism end, vaginas are, to most religions and most old school views, vaginas are nothing but to push babies out and make guys feel good. And when blood comes out of that, it's icky. Therefore, you're not useful. Why do I know that? I know that because I went to high school with a girl who had two, who was born with two uteris.
Oh.
And yeah, you grew up in New York, you come across like every medical defect like ever in New York.
Oh,
she
Wolf's
had
in
two.
the house.
Hey, Wolf, she had two. And I learned from her that she turned around and said, my uteri. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And then I got a whole education in high school about why more than one uterus is.
I think we broke Jack and Quill.
Yeah. Yeah. One was much more underdeveloped and smaller and was completely non-functional, but the other one was full-sized and it was tilted, but full-sized and functional.
I agree, Gainer.
It's the East River and the radioactive shit that we have gone swimming in during our reproductive years, and that's the kind of shit that happens. You just grow extra body parts with it.
So, do you want to talk about some other programs that you guys have been involved in fairly recently where, working together, say, with theists might have been important in terms of trying to help other people?
Well, actually, all of the secular education programs that we fund or help to raise money for, all of them are for families who are religious. Like 90% of the kids who end up going to these schools are from families who are religious. And so it makes no sense to alienate those people through those projects. And, we're sending them to, because the schools the projects that we support, that they set up are, evidence-based curriculums and stuff like that. So it's definitely a secular school. So these kids are getting a real evidence-based education. And yeah, there's just, we've had a lot of, one of the projects that we have coming up, which is going to take a long time to develop, but it is the Atheist Chamber of Commerce. And that, I was actually talking to Hemant Mehta about this, and he said, why? He's like, why do we need an Atheist Chamber of Commerce? It sounds like we're saying no religious people allowed. Mm. And I explained to him, no, this is an Atheist Chamber of Commerce where we can list and have networking tools for atheist business owners, but also atheist friendly business owners. And that's like one of the really important factors for us, because we want to promote a world where non-believers are just accepted. I've experienced discrimination because I'm an atheist in business. And I know that my co-founder Bridget has as well, and lots of other people that I've talked to have as well. And we just want to eliminate that. And you don't eliminate that without working with the other side, right? And just building awareness and showing that we're not a threat. I think if all we're doing is just kind of keeping to our own little bubble and saying, no, you're not allowed. What the
hell are we going to get done? Nothing.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And we come off as more of a threat, to be honest. Like we come off as just not nice people. And I don't know, I'm tired of people thinking that I'm not nice just because I don't go to church.
You're one of the nicest people I know.
Oh, thank you.
Honestly.
Don't you guys have a campaign on your website toward that end as well? I saw a Take the Pledge thing on there for atheists. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Real quick, I just want to answer Gaius' question about Hemant.
Sure.
I can answer that one.
So we probably should give a quick, if we're going to be asking that to Courtney as well, though, we should probably give a quick definition for anti-theist and anti-harm as far as the way that you talk about it on the channel.
Yes, because apparently this is the new argument now in atheism is what the f*** is anti-theism. This is the whole new argument now. That I'm glad to say I probably started.
So do you want to define it, Jan, or do you want me to define it?
The way that we define anti-theism is the eradication of gods in human culture. Yeah. They want them wiped. They want them gone. It's direct opposition of any deity in any belief in any faith from human culture. Anti-harm is more, believe what the fuck you want. Don't legislate with it. Don't impose it on me. Is a personal decision kind of deal.
Yeah. I'm more in the anti-harm area of that spectrum. I just never cared. I just
Shay,
don't care.
But before we run with that, no, Shay, you're thinking of another organization that we have agreed to not speak on. The letterings are very similar. However, no, I don't want to get too into it, but Courtney at one time was a part of that organization and decided that it was not a good fit for her. If I'm speaking for you, I'm sorry. I decided it was not a good fit for her and started IAA, which was a better fit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we figured there needed to be an international association of atheists because there's an international association of everything. There's going to be an international organization of my boobs with the way the Christians are going lately. So.
Or at least those who hate them.
Tweets about that.
The international organization of Jen's boobs in bedding.
Okay, guys, all aboard. We are on the train.
I'm covered because I'm like, I
boarded.
ran out of my skin shit. I ran out of like all my skin shit, and Amazon's like, no, it's gonna be 3 weeks. So I'm like broken out everywhere, and I'm just like, we're just gonna.
Oh, me too. I'm still going through puberty. It never
Yes,
stopped.
yes. I'm just like, we're just gonna cover this week because I'm like, God,
Yeah,
like,
it's like right under
why are
glasses.
my boobs 14? Why?
Yeah.
Why? I can't get out of bed without taking ibuprofen every day. I got a fucking migraine the size of my ass. But my boobs are 14 because they're completely broken out and hot. What? Oh, yes, let's do it. Yep, that's it. This is now a thing.
We actually got a fan art of the boob trained Mammryland in the server that I cannot share. So if you're not a member of my Discord server already, I can't put that up because there's far too much.
It's not safe for children.
No. There's far too much nudity in it for me to be able to share it. But if you're a member of the Discord, or if you're not yet, there's a link in the description to my Discord. It's actually not a pagan space. It is an allyship space for pagans and atheists. And for those who are not going to try to convert us one way or the other, to kind of try to work together and to do different allyship-based projects. We talk a lot about the news, and you know, like almost all of my collaborations on this channel have been born out of the chats on that site for creators. If you guys haven't gotten a chance to check it out, link is in the description. There is a wall that you will end up behind Hecate's gatehouse. Make sure you read through the rules and
just bang out what you gotta,
supposed to
and
have.
we'll push you through. Like you see me like trying to shift in my chair, and I'm like, oh, sorry.
So, sorry for the quick shill for my Discord, but this is a thing that actually came through. We got our very first fan art for that, but unfortunately, there were far too many boobs involved for me to be able to put on YouTube. Normally, I show off fan art.
This is not my channel.
Well, I mean, you know, let's face it. Dear Susan is a 60-year-old Christian wine mom. I like.
Yeah, but I could say that Hemet, I would actually say, is anti-harm. I've never known Hemet to have a problem with like anyone, ever.
Yeah.
Like ever, unless he was writing an expose on them, then he has a problem with them for about the 5 minutes he's writing it, and then never fucking thinks of them ever again. He's one of the most genuine, just warm and lovely people that I've ever met. I adore that man terribly.
I don't know him very well, but the few times I've talked to him, he's
wonderful.
Yeah.
He's so
awesome.
wonderful. He's no bullshit, but he's very nice about it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he's always
been
super nice.
I need to learn how to be no bullshit, but be nice. I don't know how to do, like, you do the no bullshit and the nice thing. And I'm like, I don't know the second half of this. I need lessons. Help me. Because I'm just mean.
Wish that I could just drop the nice part and just be like, no, just
like when it comes to your Twitter, I'm like, I don't want to be mean here. So like, I'm gonna find a nicer way. Because it's Courtney, and I'd feel terrible if I got like super mean and just nasty and complete bitch on yours. I'm like, she's so nice. I'm like, oh my god, I can't do that here. I can't. I'm like, this is the nice aunt. You don't want to yell at the nice aunt. You don't want to yell in the proximity of the nice aunt. You're just like,
you know what? Nothing on Twitter.
I know, but I still feel bad. I'm like, she's so nice though.
So I actually had a question that my hubby asked me that I hadn't gotten a chance to mention to you, but I don't think this is an overly controversial thing. Hubby was asking if you knew all that much about what was going on with the re-education camps in China and what your opinions were on it, because like he's been hearing a lot about that on YouTube lately.
I honestly don't know all that much. I'm sad to say. I mean, it piques my curiosity, and I go to read an article about it, but it's usually like, midnight, and I'm in bed, and I just fall asleep.
You're on your phone, and you're like,
yeah. I mean, there's just so much stuff that I have to stay on top of, so I really don't know much. But from the very little that I do know, I know that it's really concerning, and it is an issue that I do want to educate myself about for sure.
Yeah,
I have to give a special shout out because this is the first show he showed up on, and that's Will Judy. I love Will so much. I love Will just so goddamn much. And when COVID is over, we are all going to Houston, and we're having a massive ass party just in celebration of Will. He is so chill. Like, he'll come to me and be like, yo, you're getting like, and I'm like, am I? Oh my God. And he's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. Like, honestly, brilliant, laid back people I've ever met is Will Judy. So I have to give you a shout out. Thank you for coming, honey. I love you.
So we're getting fairly close. You said you only had an hour toward the beginning of the show, so we're getting pretty close to where we'd start wrapping up. So there's one question that I ask and one that Jens asks at the end of every show, and that is, what do you think pagans can do to be better allies to atheists when it comes to working on big projects and things like what you've been working on?
Well, I think just helping to raise awareness, but I also, like I said earlier, I really appreciate it when people, bring things to my attention that maybe I didn't understand before. And I think that, being good allies kind of goes both ways. So I really appreciate when, people tell me that maybe the meme I shared wasn't that sensitive.
That's for Russ, by the way.
I like to get the opportunity to grow, and I think that works for like going both ways.
Not to you, Chad. Bridget turned around and says, "I have a massive ass for this party." This is why me and Bridget are throwing the party together, because the massive asses will have the massive ass party. This is what we're doing. Bridget is, I want to say Courtney's partner in IAA. Bridget is, y'all go follow Bridget on Twitter. She's fucking hilarious. Go follow her. She's hysterical. Go follow Bridget.
She's smart as heck too. Like, I would not be able to do anything that I do without Bridget. Yeah, we're a team.
You couldn't.
Well, and for those of you who are interested in helping out support the IAA in some of the projects that we've been talking about, there is actually a link to their website in the description. There is also a link to Courtney's website in the description.
And can you tell us about I see stickers are being sold. I'm seeing faces. Tell us about this campaign a little bit more, please.
You mean on my website?
Yeah, for the IAA.
Yeah. The IAA, well, we actually have memberships, and that's the only way you can get the stickers, is if you become a member. And I know that atheists don't like joining things, but
they don't like joining things, but they're a part of every Facebook group and association that has the word atheist in front of it,
and Discord
ever.
Server and YouTube channel.
No, like legit, if you put atheist in front of a name in any association and you put out a monthly membership, they're just gonna buy it. They're gonna do it. You know why? They're hoping for conferences.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason.
Oh yeah. The one atheist.
Yeah.
Selfies. If you can submit those at internationalatheist.org/oneatheist. And the idea behind that is that it just takes one atheist to prove to somebody that atheists aren't that bad. Mm-hmm. We're not that scary.
I'm part of the One Atheist campaign with much better hair.
And you can submit your selfie, and we'll share the selfie. And we also have a there's no atheist community.
You've heard me go off about this. You have seen me. I'm like, where was the first time y'all saw me on the Atheist Experience? And who is that hosted by?
Jen will wait.
I'll wait. Who? Y'all get together around the YouTubes every Sunday by the thousands to watch shows produced by the atheist community of Austin. Y'all get in a live chat and talk together, and then go into the Discord talking about when's the building gonna be open so I can go and visit it. But there is no atheist community whatsoever.
No.
Fucking anywhere.
Russ, you're a heretic. You're never getting your card back. I'm sorry.
It's literally, the ACA is literally a house. It's a house. It's a fucking house. You people come and park in the backyard and walk into a house that has breakfast to watch shows together as a what? Community. Plan road trips to this shit. There's no atheist community. You have no atheist community, and I'm a fucking virgin. Shut up. Just stop it. I'm the Virgin Mary, if that's the case. Damn it, as my child is screaming upstairs right
Well,
now.
we were trying to get the wrap up a little bit, Jen. Do you want to ask your side of the question? Apparently, there's more fan art that I need to go show off, so I will let you do that while I go wrap.
What do you think atheists can do to be better allies to pagans and those of faith who aren't evangelical, pushy, I'm gonna drown you in holy water and Kenneth Copeland oils evangelicals?
I think that atheists can just chill out, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe do a little listening. Just try to understand that not everybody is out to get us. And that people who have differing beliefs can make really, really good allies, and help the world get or become a better place for atheists, non-believers, and all religious minorities. And yeah, just stop being so uptight, I guess.
So apparently, Jack and Quill has decided to bring to life me and Ocean driving Jen absolutely crazy.
This is what goes on in my brain every day of my life. Is this? It's literally me in shorts like that too. Like, what if you're gonna stand outside the window and spy, at least come in for dinner. This is my life every day. This is my everyday life right there.
That was cute.
That's That's pretty much my life from the minute I open my eyes.
I love Jack and Quill. Jack and Quill has brought so many of the memes of this channel to life. Like freaking Harley Jesus, like 2 weeks ago, got brought to life by Jack and Quill.
I'm waiting for friction fuck that I said on Hammered Out, that I commented on Ocean and Cyrus were giving Ben Shapiro way too much critical thinking skills credit, and I said that he's not even able to have sex with his wife without causing or fuck his wife without a friction fire, and apparently that was a big hit. And I'm just waiting for the artwork for this one now.
Yeah,
I also now email Cyrus and I'm like, only Ben can prevent forest fires, and I just leave that there.
Oh my god.
This is what I do to my friends with their little voices in my head. I do shit like that. I derail their live streams. Oh, Neil. Neil's my online hubby. I'm the online wife. And now the cat's meowing.
You see, this is why we start the wind down 20 minutes before the end of the show.
I don't know why the cat is screaming. I don't know. I just don't. I'm broken at this point.
Everything. That's why, Jen. Everything. That is always the answer.
The hair and the kid and the fucking bed skirt that I had to hem tape to the fucking bed today because I have a weird fucking bed.
For the record, Carpathia's the one who calculated the velocity of the fucks you would have thrown. Mm-hmm. She calculated, if I recall correctly, figuring out she used gravity or something as the speed velocity of a fuck, and then totaled all of your fucks from the last stream, which was a
just
record,
to see at what velocity they travel at. I love Carpathia.
At what velocity you would have thrown a laptop at the head of the tech that pissed you off. With the sheer force of the weight of all of the fucks that you threw in your angry rant last week. And apparently, this friction is now going to be calculated.
If I don't hear from these motherfuckers by Friday, I'm going to the district and I'm like, bitch, give me the fucking laptop, give me the fucking privileges, just let me fucking fix it.
It was the distance you would throw a Chromebook.
Just let me fix it. Just give me the administrator privileges and I can fix it. Just give it to me. Give me the thing. Give it to me. And I fix it.
So,
I'm still pissed about that.
Courtney, is there anything that you would like to talk about that's coming up for you? This is the shill portion, as we lovingly call it, of the show, where we kind of promote things that we've got coming up and that our guest does. Ooh, my lights are flickering. Quick warning, everybody. My lights are flickering. If it goes down, it should come back pretty quickly, but we've got a windstorm going on out there, and they've been flickering through most of the stream, but they flickered 3 times, and I'm on a desktop, so if I disappear, the show will go on, because StreamYard is hosted remotely, but it might take me a few to come back and, fix it. So apologies if that happens. But anyway, would you like to talk about any sort of appearances you've got coming up, or things that you want the audience to kind of take a look at?
not making any appearances anytime soon, but I would really love it for anybody who can afford it to go and become a member of our organization, because it's not about joining something. It's about your monthly dues help us, like they enable us to do our work. And
do you have any sort of single time donations for, say, somebody who wants to support a particular program but isn't necessarily an atheist? Because a good chunk of my audience is pagan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we also have, if you actually just go to our website, you should get a pop-up, one of those annoying pop-ups that people swear about all the time. And it'll ask you if you want to donate to the campaign that we're running right now for the kids in India to go to school. And it literally costs $11 to send one kid to school for a month. So if you have $11 that you can spare, go donate it, because that will, honestly, $11 will change a child's life forever.
I so love that you're doing that. By the way, I just do. I just do.
It's fun. It feels good. I like it. There's a lot of distractions, but when we get to just focus on our work, it's great. I love it.
So, Jen, do you have anything exciting coming up in the next week?
Oh, yeah. This week, for my premiere, my pre-record, I'm doing Abolish and ACAB. Abolish, Defund, and ACAB is what I'm going to be covering this week. Also, Friday night, I'm going to be having Shannon Q on, where we're going to get exceptionally drunk and talk about parenting within atheism.
That's exciting.
Yes, that's what's going on this weekend. Shannon and I have decided, after the weeks we've dealt with, we are just going to give my show, we're going to live my show up to its name, and we're going to get absolutely shit-faced and talk about parenting. But yes, Thursday is going to be the Abolish and Defund movement and the ACAB movement. So, yeah. Not shy, baby. Yep, Jen's going full ACAB, Jen's going full Abolish this week.
That's exciting.
On Thursday.
So this week on my side, my weekly video on Thursday is going to be the research rabbit hole I fell down, because I was, and Jen got to hear all about this because of course she did.
You send them really late at night, so this is what I wake up to in the morning.
No wonder I'm in your head constantly.
Yeah, this is the first thing I wake up for.
Hey, to be fair, the last time we talked really late at night, we both got drunk together and just talked about nothing and everything in the entire universe in 42.
I think I was drunk playing Sims.
Like, we just shot the shit for like 3 hours, and it was glorious. So my video this week, I fell down the research rabbit hole because I was originally going to do a video on the various Greek afterlives and how it changed over time and where the different groups came from and what the attestations we have for them are. But then I started reading one of the rare books that my patrons helped me get, Reading Greek Death by Christian Servanu Inwood, which I have a major problem with how expensive the paywall is to getting access to good scholarly information. Like, this is a major problem, and I'm super grateful that people are helping me.
Courtney, I'm sure you can sympathize with that.
But it turns out that the assumptions around the Homeric afterlife that a lot of scholars made are kind of based on a bunch of faulty premises, and Servanu Inwood absolutely guts a lot of the way that we've been taught to think about Homer and the afterlife and the way that he portrayed it in the Iliad and the Odyssey and in the Homeric hymns. So my video ended up being 12 minutes of me ranting about that and presenting the various arguments from both sides of the discussion and talking about basically how difficult it is to properly, interpret these things without first putting ourselves into the headspace of those ancient people, because it's such a temptation to kind of project our modern ideas onto them when that's not entirely fair. So she talks a lot about that, and that's what I'm going to be going over in my video this week. And then, give me a second. 1 sec.
I have no idea what's going on.
One of my partners came out talking into the living room and didn't realize I was live. So I love my partners to death, but
I torment her partners on a daily basis. They just expect this from me now.
Well, I have damned any future partner Jen will ever have because we're such close fucking friends. She's like, if my future partners can't live up to your level of communication, like, it ain't happening.
And I don't date because my standards are entirely too high. So no.
But next Monday, we're actually going to be having What the Craft on.
Yep.
Also, now recently changed to Appalachia Folk Witch, who said hello earlier. And we're going to be talking about consent.
Which is my closest online friend to me. She's my closest, physically. And we still can't see each other because of fucking COVID. Fuck COVID.
But we're going to be talking about consent and ethics within magic and witchcraft, and we'll probably also end up getting into a homeschooling rant at some point because both of them are doing it, and Witch actually provided some excellent resources for non-religious education type things for folks who are trying to do online or hybrid homeschooling.
I could use that.
No, Witch has got a trove. So,
If you go check out my channel, there's a playlist for Xenia Bridge. The literal last one we did before this is going to be that video, and in the description there are resources for folks who are interested in that.
Cool. I'll have to check that out because
are they doing virtual by you guys, or are they doing full traditional?
It's virtual here. Well, we have a choice.
So,
I'm keeping the kid home because I'm not crazy.
I mean, y'all see the ATR microphone behind my kid, right? Like, I was like, no, if we're going to keep you home, we're going to do this shit. So I'm, if you need to bitch about it, you know how to get in touch with me. Be like, are your kids as out of control as my sons are? Like, these kids are singing on their mics and shit, like...
Yeah.
Oh,
well, my son, we have 3 floors in our house, and he is down on the bottom floor. Like, I had to move the computer down on the bottom floor so that I didn't hear him while he's playing Minecraft because and I can still hear him. Like, I can hear him right now. He's just yelling.
But these parents, I hear parents yelling for their other kids, like through their mics. These kids are singing songs. They're just calling out in class. And I'm like, there's literally a mute all button in fucking Zoom. Why are you not using it? Why?
Yeah.
Why? These kids, I hear, come get this baby. I'm like, dogs barking in the background and shit. I'm like, y'all ain't got no home training, do you? None of you.
Yeah.
And then he's got, you always got that one little shit motherfucking kid in the class that's always like thinks they know everything, always calling out. Yeah, he's got one. I know that little motherfucker's Mark too. I fucking know. Every time they're singing on that mic, every time there's some bullshit, I know it's that kid. And I'm like, I look at my kid, I'm like, is it? And he goes, I love it though, because I'm teaching him to be just as much of a fucking smart ass as I am.
We're getting shipped in the chat again, guys.
So that would be valid because I have a tendency to keep my partners very private. Very private. So might be.
Are you encouraging the shippers?
You'd be the most hated person in atheism because you're the one that got the boobs.
I've probably seen more boobs than some of those guys. Oh wait. Anyway.
And not just mine.
Oh, but
wait, comrade, I'm Pan. You didn't know? What?
Gainer is giving the apocalyptic warnings.
Wait, how did comrade not know I was pansexual? How did comrade not know this?
All right, so we're coming up on the end of the time that we said we had. Thank you so much, Courtney, for coming on and talking with us. It actually means a huge, it means a great deal to me that I had somebody that was so prominent within atheism come on here to talk about allyship. Like, that is such an incredible thing. So thank you so much for coming on to my tiny little 900 sub channel to talk about this. This is incredible.
I've been wanting to sit down and do something with you for years, and I'm like, oh, chance.
Yeah, it's really cool to finally talk to you not in text.
Yes. Because every time, I'm like, I'm going to this conference, you're like, I'm not going to that one. And I'm not going to that one. I'm like, we have to coordinate the things when the world isn't trying to kill everyone. We have to coordinate the things with each other.
Yes. Well, maybe we'll have an IAA conference.
Yes. You know what? That'll push me to renew my passport.
Yeah.
I'm sure Neil would be
probably
thrilled.
Have it in the U.S., but yeah. But thank you for inviting me.
Of course.
I very much appreciate it. I always love the chance to talk about the work that we do.
Well, and again, thank you so much for coming. Remember, everybody, we're stronger together.
Agreed.